What's up, you guys? Cody here. So someone messaged me today and said, "Hey Cody, I'm at 25% body fat. Can I still run a cycle right now, or do I have to trim down first?" And a lot of people will say trim down first. There's so many videos out there that say that because when you think about doing a cycle, you think about getting big, right? But if you're already big, you're just big in the wrong way. You're not going to want to do a cycle to get bigger because you got to lose some of that fat. But that being said, there's still certain ways you can do it. Now, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience here. I don't recommend anyone do any of the things I'm about to talk about in this video. This is not medical advice. This is just my own experience with what I'm sharing and with what I've done. What I would do in that kind of situation is go into a recomp. I would look to burn fat and build a little bit of muscle at the same time. Now, it's not going to be a whole lot of muscle that you're going to build during this time with these specific compounds, but it's going to be enough to where when you get trimmed down, you're going to at least see the fruits of your labor compared to going natural and just losing fat and not building any muscle and just looking deflated. So there's certain compounds that can do certain things. And when people say you should trim down first, it's because when people think about going enhanced, people think about getting big. But if you're already big, you don't want to get bigger. You want to lose the fat, build muscle, and then build from there. Get lean before you build. So basically what that means is get lean before you go into a growth phase. But you can go into a recomp phase and use something like Winnie, right? You don't want to use a lot of test because a lot of test will bloat you up. A lot of test will puff you out like a balloon. Like, obviously you wouldn't want to use something like D-ball test Deca when you're recomping. You could, I guess, but it would be really complicated and I wouldn't recommend it. You would want to use dry DHT compounds because you're looking to dry yourself out. So I would use something like 25 to 50 milligrams of Winstrol a day. And then I would use probably 250 to 400 Masteron. 400 would be too much. I would say 300 at the most. 250, 300 Masteron, and then 300 to 400 test. You don't have to do half the Masteron to half the test. But if you're using another compound like Winstrol, which is also known for crushing estrogen, you might want to run the test a little higher, but I wouldn't go to 500. So I would stay around 300, 350 test, 200 to 300 mast, and then 25 to 50 Winnie a day. And that'll be just absolutely perfect for a recomp. Then what you would want to do is get in your 10,000 steps a day. You would want to get into a gym routine that is kind of prioritizing compound movements, but also high rep, low weight isolation movements. So it's a complicated thing, but you could get yourself on a good diet, high protein, lower carbs, put and prioritize your carbs around your workout window, and that way you have good energy for your workout. You're not deflated. You actually can move some of that weight. And then you're going to want to make sure you're getting those steps in every day. You would want to do a 5-day workout split, in my opinion. Like the Arnold split would be perfect, or a push-pull leg times 2 a week. So it's basically the push-pull leg or the Arnold split in a perfect world is 3 days on, 1 day off, then repeat. You're going to work your whole body in those first 3 days. Then you're going to take a rest day. Then you're going to repeat. When you're trying to recomp, I think the more you're in the gym, the better. Now, you don't have to use Winstrol. You could use something like Anavar. You could even do low-dose test and Anavar with no Masteron. But because your body fat is higher, I would recommend using the Masteron because the higher your body fat is, the more likely that testosterone is to convert into estrogen. The lower your body fat is, the less likely the testosterone is going to convert. So having something like Masteron on hand and using it is a great tool, because you could essentially use Test and Masteron at low doses for extremely long periods of time and be perfectly okay. You guys think about it. People are out here doing hard drugs. This is what I don't understand. All the people who say, oh my God, you can't run these compounds for more than 3 or 4 months at a time. Have you not seen Cracker Joe on the street corner? He's been there for 10 years. He's had a pipe in his mouth every day for the last 10 years. Why can't you be smart about it, get blood markers done, eat healthy food, get your steps in every day, have a good lifting routine, have a low stress life, and be getting 8 hours of sleep a night, and use these moderately safe compounds at low doses compared to that guy, right? It makes no sense. A lot of people who preach this stuff, they've never lived a crazy life, so they don't really know. They can't really compare it. And the thing is about Anavar is it's mild. Winstrol is a little bit stronger. So you could look at this as a long game, and you could go, okay, I'm going to use for the first 8 weeks Anavar and Test, and then, the first 8 weeks, you're going to want to use that Masteron because your body fat is the highest. So use that Mast for the first 8 weeks with Anavar and Test, then come off the Anavar, stay on low dose Masteron, low dose Test, bridge for a little while, and then after about 4 weeks at the most, continue on your plan, continue with your steps, your dieting, then throw in the Winstrol. You could do Test and Winstrol. You don't even need the Masteron for the second cycle. By the time you do those 2 cycles, you are going to be shredded. You're not going to need to recomp anymore. You're going to be lean. Compared to 12, 14 months of dieting naturally just to look in the mirror and still not like what you see, I don't know. I think that's the better way to do it. Now, in my next video, I'm going to talk about going into a growth phase and which compounds you should use, because not everyone can stand something like wet compounds. I know myself, no matter how lean I get, I don't always do well with wet compounds. My body reacts much better with DHT dry compounds, and I think that's because I've been someone with high body fat before. My body's more prone to estrogenic side effects with wet compounds. So anyway, you guys, that's the answer I have for you. Test Masteron Winstrol, or Test an Anavar, or Test Anavar Masteron. You know, mix those things up and be safe. Again, this is not medical advice. This is my own experience and advice I would give myself to recomp. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, if you need support, reach out to me. Links in my bio to all my socials. Till the next one.